Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm the owner, creator, and coach for Believe in Better Finances. For today's video topic, we're going to be talking about smart ways to spend that tax refund. So before I get started, I'll just say I've already tried to record this video once now, and probably stupid me, I had my windows open because it's 75 degrees and just beautiful today, but when I got home from my day job, it was one of those, I'm like, oh, I think I'll record a video. It's sunny out, I'll have good lighting, and sure enough, I thought, oh, I'll open my windows, and everybody else is coming home around this time too. So I've got motorcycles and trucks and everything else passing down my street. So anyways, this is take 2 of this video actually, so I guess I had a run through earlier. But so yeah, so for today's video topic, being that we're about to be in the month of April, I'm shooting this on March 31st, so I'm not sure exactly when this will actually post on my YouTube channel, but nonetheless, we are getting close to the tax deadline, so I figured those of you, if you haven't already received your refund check, or even if you have, I wanted to share some smart ways to spend that money, so that way we're not blowing it on, bad decisions or more materialistic things, if you could be utilizing those dollars in a better way. So that being said, the first thing that I wanted to recommend as far as how to spend that tax refund check would be to set up an emergency fund. So if you currently don't have an emergency fund in place, what I would recommend doing is taking those tax refund dollars and to set up a beginner's emergency fund essentially. So you might not have enough money to set up an actual 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account. However, that could be a good amount of money to start you one. So I know from based on my research out there, and maybe you guys watching might have read stuff online, but on average, they say the average American's tax refund is about $2,800. So that being said, if that's the case, if it's a couple $1,000s, that would be a good little slush fund to have set up in an account somewhere. So that being said, just like I've mentioned in previous videos, if you not already have a savings account or an emergency fund account in place, I would recommend setting that up through a basic savings account through your bank or credit union. The last thing you want to do is go lock that money into a CD, again, because it's meant for emergencies. A CD is not very liquid as far as being able to access the money. A lot of times you might get penalties if you try to break the CD early, as well as you have to contact your financial institution to break the CD and get your money back. Whereas a savings account, you could simply transfer the funds or go withdraw the funds at your financial institution. So just think about that. If you've not already set up an emergency fund, make sure you open up a basic savings account. You're not going to earn a lot of interest on it, but it's more to act like insurance to be there to protect you in case you truly do have an emergency fund and you need to have access to that money quickly. Tip number 2, as far as how you can spend that money in the best way possible, would be to pay off any consumer debt that you currently have outstanding. So once you've got at least a beginner's emergency fund in place, my next tip would be is to take a hard look at any standing debt that you might currently have. So that would be things like credit cards, student loans, car loans. So for a couple $1,000s, depending on what your situation might be, maybe that's paying off 1 or 2 or 3 credit cards. Getting rid of those out of your life so that way you don't accrue any more debt. Maybe you've been paying on, a car loan for a while and you've only got a couple $1,000s left on the car note. So why not go ahead and throw that chunk of money at that loan so that way you can pay that car off early. I'll tell you one thing, that no car drives better than a paid for vehicle, I'll tell you that. So that being said, just kind of think through any outstanding debts that you have. Maybe list out your debts smallest to largest and figure out which of the small ones you can knock out with that chunk of money. So that might be another great way to spend your tax refund dollars. Tip number 3, obviously another great way you can use those tax refund dollars would be to invest it. So if you currently don't already have a IRA set up, maybe you look into setting up a Roth IRA or an individual retirement account. Maybe you meet with a financial planner and figure out what best way can you invest this chunk of money, see what they have to say and decide from there. So one thing I will say though is before you do any investing, you really want to make sure again that you have your emergency fund in place and you're out of debt, at least minus your mortgage. So make sure you've got all that consumer debt paid off so that way you're not basically spinning your wheels. There's no point in trying to invest all this money if at the same time you're, being drugged under with monthly payments. So anything you can do to get rid of that, that'll free up even more money down the road so that way you can invest even more than what you could have with your tax refund. Tip number 4 would be to save for a down payment for a house. So again, this may or may not apply to you, and you're probably thinking, well, Heather, if my tax refund is, say, $2,200, that's not going to be much of a down payment for a house. And that is true. Most houses nowadays, $2,200 is not going to get you very far as the down payment is concerned, but maybe that's what gets you started. So maybe you've had a dream of buying your home, your first home or something like that. Take that money, again, put it into an account, and then start building on top of it from there. Maybe you've already been saving for a house and you just needed that much more to kind of pad your overall savings fund. So again, look at ways you can utilize those dollars the best way possible. And then my 5th and final tip, as far as how you can spend that tax refund in the smartest way possible, would be to maybe establish college funds for your kids. So again, I've got a video all on different types of college savings accounts that you can set up. A popular one is called a 529 plan. Every state offers its own unique 529 plan, so you can just reach out to a certified financial planner to learn more about that. But I guarantee you a couple $1,000s would be a really good chunk of money to help get that account set up and started, preferably when the children are young. So if you don't already have something like that in place, that might be another great way to utilize those tax refund dollars. So all that to say, one of the things that I definitely don't recommend is having too much of a tax refund. So like I mentioned earlier, the average tax refund out there is around $2,800. That's a lot of money to give to the government because you're essentially overpaying them and basically giving them an interest-free loan. Whereas if you had not overpaid the government, you could have used the difference to fund other things, maybe paying that credit card off sooner, maybe it's putting that money in an emergency fund account, those things that I just mentioned previously. So really what you want to do is you want to try to find that sweet spot somewhere in the middle where obviously the goal is not have to pay the government or the IRS money when it comes to tax season, but you don't want to receive such a huge lump sum either where you're basically just giving the government, you're overpaying them. So you want to find somewhere where maybe you get a few $100s back, but not several $1,000s, because then you're significantly overpaying in. So those are just some of my tips. I hope you found that information valuable, and I hope it maybe just gets you thinking about, okay, if I do get a check back, what can I do with it to really make good decision with that money versus just blowing it on something that's materialistic and then looking up and going, where did I spend that money again? So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And be sure and subscribe for future videos on all things money. I'll see you next time.